People voted a while ago, and I'm finally doing it. Thank you to all the audience members who voted in my poll a while back. I'm here to fulfill your wishes and do the job that you've requested me to do. I hope you enjoy the review. I put a lot of hard work and effort into it. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen is well known as one of the worst Michael Bay movies to a lot of people. At first, it was the worst one in the original trilogy because of how slow it was and a lot of the plot details and also stretched out humans. But one of the factors that people trash Revenge of the Fallen for is the characters of Skids and Mudflap. Skids and Mudflap are characters that were created specifically for the movie as a comic relief duo for Transformers. But of course, people got real upset with this and claimed that the characters of Skids and Mudflap were racial stereotypes, and also, I'm not even kidding, the blackface of Transformers. Are you kidding me, guys? Skids and Mudflap were everywhere, but then they disappeared off the face of the earth. And you would think, oh, maybe it's changed over time. Maybe people aren't talking about it anymore. Well, I'm afraid you're mistaken. People still do talk about how annoying the Skids and Mudflap characters are. Even the boys commentated on the controversy of Skids and Mudflap, a show that came out way after Revenge of the Fallen premiered. So, yeah. Also, I gotta mention, never seen The Boys. It was never a show that I sat down to. I heard it was good for a while, but then I think it was season 4 is where the show fell off. It might have been season 3. So I don't know if I would check out The Boys now, knowing the fact that the show didn't even last that long in being good. It ended up being ruined in the end. Kind of similar to like Game of Thrones a little bit. But anyway, here's the clip.
The one with the racist robots?
It's funny you mentioned that. Shy's actually a good buddy of mine.
I mean, we even got this clip from Commented Cam for a Skids video.
It changed, but I do think it makes it look a little bit better. It is a shame that we never got to see them in the film because I would really have loved to have seen them get killed. So close. So close.
What is that supposed to mean, Commented Cam? I don't know if I like your tone. This kind of behavior for any other character in this group would get you automatically canceled by your audience, the social justice weenies. I'm not calling for cancel culture, I'm just stating the facts. And especially since these people also praised the character of Nightshade, even though Nightshade is absolute garbage. But today it ends. No more with this stupid narrative. Today's video, I will be explaining and going in depth of why Skids and Mudflap aren't racist. Now you could say, D to the B, there's already tons of videos that do this already. And I will say, yes there are, and a lot of them gave a lot of good detail. But these videos, my problem with them is they don't go into depth enough. I'd say the closest one is Theorymus, but even then, he still held back on a lot of what he could say. Probably to appeal to the Transformers YouTubers like Commented Cam, because if he goes against the narrative of the great Commented Cam, he'll probably be thrown out of the Transformers YouTubers community. But newsflash, I'm not one of them. So I get to say what I want and also say the gosh darn facts of it. Let's begin. The first scene that the twins appeared in, Skids and Mudflap were in their vehicle modes, which was an old pink and white ice cream truck, just looking for the Decepticons. And they have a sticker that says, Decepticons suck my popsicle. Now, I think people are a bit smarter than this, but obviously, this is not racist. Later in the scene, we see Skids and Mudflap trying to help Chase sideways, but of course, the two turn too early and they split apart as Mudflap crashes into the wall in the alley. But then Mudflap says,
I'm okay. I'm alright. This is combat, man. Oh, brain freeze, man. What's wrong with you?
now people could say that this is totally racist, guys. These guys are so offensive, and that's why we need to praise our Lord and Savior Nightshade. Okay, hold your horses, you Nightshade simps. If you actually know what it is like to have a sibling or be a sibling, siblings fight a lot over the most stupidest things, and siblings drive each other insane, but they still love each other. As a sibling, you would do anything in your power to help and protect your sibling, especially if somebody is going after your sibling. Even if they fight over the stupidest things most of the time, they still care for each other. But with that out of the way, let's move on. The next scene that the twins appeared in is the return to Nest headquarters. After the mission was successful in Shanghai, the twins begin to drive to the designated area where they would get 2 new vehicle modes. And of course, the twins fight over the color green. Yes, they are fighting over the green car. Again, not racist, just sibling banter. Again, not racist. Alright, the next scene that the twins appeared in was the ending of the forest fight, where Skids and Mudflap picked up Sam, Michaela, and Leo out of the battlefield. Then we transitioned to Skids and Mudflap, Bumblebee pulling up at an abandoned building to hide from the con. After Sam destroys Leo's phone, we get this scene.
Cause you the one forced me into that car, right? So I think he's scared. Hey, Mudflap, what are we gonna do with this shrimp taco? Just bumper cap in his ass, throw him in the truck, and then nobody gonna know nothing, not me. Yeah, not in my trunk.
Yo, bumper car, check it out. I'm hearing you, okay? I'm right here, and I can hear you. No one's popping any caps in any asses, okay? I've had a hell of a day.
Why don't you get a hit?
Now, I don't know how people could say this is racist, but people will always find some way to make it possible. But this whole scene of Skids and Mudflap talking about what to do with Leo is not racist for 2 reasons. Number 1, they probably didn't know if they could trust him or not. Number 2, they are clearly trolling him at the same time, especially when Skids says this.
Haircut with your bitch ass. Go whine to your boyfriend.
Listen.
Now, this next scene might be trickier, but I shall try. Next scene the twins are in is when Sam asks the twins about some symbols that he has been seeing throughout the whole movie, which the twins pointed out that it's ancient Cybertronian, and Sam asked them if they could read it, where they say,
Read? We don't really do much reading. Not so much.
Well, if you can't read it, we gotta find somebody who can.
all I have to say is maybe you could consider this one racist, but objection at the same time, because I'm going to explain why this is dumb. So first of all, just assuming black people can't read, again, is actually racist. And again, we're supposed to take these people seriously? Like, people like me who criticize characters that happily are of color because we don't like how they're written are considered racist, but then these higher ups that support these bland pieces of cardboard and also say stuff like Jar Jar and Skids and Mudflap are racist as not racist, even though they do things like make this cartoon. It makes you think, doesn't it? And I could probably see somebody going, but they are racist, and you're racist too for not recognizing the stereotype. Anyway, let's continue on. So, the reason I think this is dumb as well, because there are plenty of people who cannot read. Reading is something that can be very hard for individuals, as dyslexia. Dyslexia can make it really hard for people to read. Now, I'm not saying this is the reason for Skids and Mudflap, but I'm just bringing it up as an example. Does that mean dyslexic people are racist? It makes you think how far these people will go. I'm surprised this isn't a narrative yet. Anyway, there's also the factor that I think I saw in a video saying that not every Cybertronian can read ancient Cybertronian language, which was actually something that was established in Revenge of the Fallen because it's ancient, it's lost to Cybertronian culture, especially when you bring in Optimus saying that a lot of our history and secrets were lost with the cube.
But last night's encounter came with a warning.
The fallen shall rise again.
The Fallen, meaning what?
Origin unknown. The only recorded history of our race was contained within the Allspark and lost with its destruction.
So there's that factor as well. And also, here's another thing. It's very rare, but it is a thing that could be a possibility. Some people don't get taught how to read. I know it's a very small percentage, but it's a thing that can happen. I actually know somebody who can't read at all. And that's as far as I'm gonna go. Like, it is possible. You just don't know how to read because it could be tricky for somebody or people just choose not to read. There was a South Park episode about that. About the police chief of South Park not knowing how to read because he was never taught how to read. Now, before we go on to the next scene, I'll let you have a 10-second crying break. Begin the timer. Alright, time's up. Let's go back to roasting these stupid narratives. Alright, the next scene the twins appeared in is later on in the film, where the Autobots and the humans are chased by the Egyptian police after they escaped and managed to hide from them. And then Mudflap makes this joke.
Stupid cop. This is what's called blending in like a ninja.
Again, just sibling banter. And also, this isn't even a nod at African Americans. This is a joke of Asian culture. Oh my gosh, I'm so sick of these people. Everything's offensive. We gotta ban Skids and Mudflap and also ban a Dave Pilkey book for having a racial stereotype drawing. Ooh! But again, sibling banter. Then the next scene the twins appear in is when they are entering the Temple of Egypt for the Primes, where the twins begin to fight because of a disagreement on why they should follow Sam or not. Now, there is one thing that could be considered racist, but it is not confirmed. Apparently, according to a friend, Mudflap says the N-word. Apparently. But after I wrote this, I was actually talking to another friend, which said that apparently this was debunked. And apparently the same friend who brought the first point to me, looked up the script, and apparently Mudflap didn't say the N-word. Apparently Mudflap said listen, but it is so quick, it's hard to tell. And even if Mudflap did say that, like, it doesn't matter because people like that say that word all the time. I have a friend who's African American and he says the N-word a lot. So I don't want to hear it saying, oh, that's racist. Especially since it was Mudflap's actor who said it, not Tom Kenny. But here we are to the last scene of the movie that Skids and Mudflap appeared in. And that is the Devastator scene. After Devastator combines, Skids and Mudflap are just shocked, and Skids says mean robots suck, and then the characters just try to start running away from Devastator, and then Skids and Mudflap as they're trying to hold on. Mudflap falls off of Skids and gets eaten by Devastator, and then Skids says this.
He did. He got so ate.
Whoa! Who's your daddy now, huh?
He got all ate up.
And then Mudflap returned and managed to survive because, I don't know, he was too fat. I actually think that is the reason. He was too big for Devastator to destroy, so he clogged Devastator's system and then started beating on Devastator's face. And then we get the action scene between the twins fighting Devastator, where their last scene was Mudflap accidentally shooting Skids in the face and knocking out his gold tooth. And that was the last scene the twins appeared in. And again, just not racist, sibling bantering. Nothing wrong with that. Alright, now it's time to go even more in depth with the behind-the-scenes stuff of the movie. Damn, please stop. Please stop doing this video. You can't win. You can't convince me otherwise that Skids and Mudflap are racial stereotypes. Well, when we get to this next segment, you might change your mind. Or you'll be a crybaby for the rest of your life. I don't know. Yeah. Since we're on the topic of this issue, I'm gonna bring this up since I made a joke about Nightshade earlier. So, if we should have, like, gay representation for Transformers, I mean, it would only make sense that, we should also have the same thing for black people. We should have some black Transformers. And you think people would be for this, but no, they're just triggered over these people. And these people are the same people who are like, oh, you need to stop criticizing this character for being black or a black woman. No, it's just the character sucks. They were not written well. And here's an example of characters that I don't think are terrible, but then they just trash on it. It really shows that they are a bunch of hypocrites. And also, I'm gonna throw this out there. The fact that people stretch out this whole thing, like, for example, not only black people have gold teeth. I'm gonna be honest here. They're not the only ones. There are plenty of white people who have gold teeth as well. Also, the fact that somebody made this cartoon and comparing the two is stretched out and extremely racist. And this is somebody who hates, like, oh, you're just racist for doing this and yada yada yada. But this is actually racist that somebody took the designs and made them African American, like cartoons, to compare their point. Say like, see guys, I made this totally racist drawing to prove that they are absolutely racist. Like, you cannot make this stuff up. It is crazy. The fact that somebody did this. Look, I don't entirely take it as they did it because of racism. No. Have you seen some of Michael Bay's faces for Transformers? I could see this as just, like, design them this way. Not like G1 type faces, just a crazy alien type face. That's what I see it as. I mean, I'm surprised that nobody has compared the dreads of also being racial stereotypes. If there is one, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if they ever said that. Because dreadlocks! But going back to my last point, it's just a sibling thing. Like, siblings, again, will fight over, like, the stupidest thing. If it's, like, a last piece of a meal, or who gets shotgun, who gets top bunk. Like, this is a thing that siblings, especially twins, just do all the time. So it would make sense that they would fight over vehicle mode. What is wrong with you people just assuming this racism stuff? I'm so sick of it. I'm supposed to believe that you're progressive. Yeah, haha, nice try, bud. The actor of Mudflap, Reno Wilson, says that he was told by Michael Bay that the Cybertronians gathered information from the internet waves, which was established in the first Michael Bay movie, and the twins could have listened to, like, rap or anything like that. It fits the lore. Then Tom Kenny said that Michael Bay told them that they were wannabe gangsters, like Vanilla Ice and Kevin Federline. And I will give credit to Reno Wilson. He was not upset. He did not regret doing Mudflap. And that gives you a based card on the D to the B army. Like, if you aren't offended by being jokey and acting a certain way, you're based. You are a soldier. You will be respected in this community. Tom Kenny, on the other hand, no, he wussed out. It was like 2019 or some sort of era. It was this modern stuff when everyone had to be sensitive about feelings. Tom Kenny said that he regretted doing Skids because he felt like that it was offensive, and I guess he didn't want to be replaced as SpongeBob. Which, let's be fair, Tom Kenny, SpongeBob's been going on for too long. I'm pretty sure we're on season 13. Yeah, I think it's time for SpongeBob to stop. And I'm not calling for Tom Kenny to be canceled for being a wuss, but he definitely could have stood up to these people and not caved and gave in. He gave in to them, and it does make me lose some respect for Tom Kenny. Love you as SpongeBob and some of the other roles you did. You wussed out when it came to this. So you get like a B+ in the respect of the D to the B community. Also, there were some people in Michael Bay's staff that also threw Michael Bay under the bus. They were fine with it at first until they got the backlash and they switched on Bay. Blamed Bay for it, which I shouldn't be surprised.
Other things that made Revenge of the Fallen better was the fights, the soundtrack, and these two.
To be honest with you, I know it's gonna piss my friend Elta C off, but I think the soundtrack in Revenge of the Fallen is meh at best. Like, I think the first movie definitely had the most better soundtrack, to be honest. Like, for example, I like What I've Done more than New Divide. I think New Divide is a mess song at best. I just never got into it. I think the first movie and the third movie had the best soundtracks. I think Revenge of the Fallen soundtracks are meh. And, ooh, dude, that is not going to go well with the other Transformers fans. Because Skids and Mudflap is definitely one of the most hated characters. I've grown to hate them. Yes, I think their racial stereotypes thing is stupid, especially during the modern days. I can't take that seriously anymore, where they say that they're based off racial stereotypes and that's a bad thing and blah, blah, blah. I am so sick of that already. They did that to George Lucas with Jar Jar, and I'm just so sick of people pulling up that argument. I just find the twins annoying. But to be fair, I will say the soundtrack in Revenge of the Fallen is definitely better than Rise of the... I might have to make a video on Michael Bay at some point, because Michael Bay is one of those people definitely got betrayed by the Transformers community. Fans trashed Michael Bay for his movies, and also tons of jokes about how Bay sucks. It was awful. I won't lie, I did indoctrinated to in this mindset for a bit. Some people would know it with the if people have watched my J-Man's Wrong about Rise of the Beast Optimus. You could definitely tell to an extent that it's in the phase of dunking on Michael Bay because all the cool Transformers YouTubers said it, so I have to do it. I didn't bond to J-Man because of that. I just felt like he didn't make a good video. I do remember saying this, and it wasn't completely on the racist thing. Here's the clip. Even called out myself. for making that comment. Still didn't call him racist, but called myself out for my old take. Why I did it? Because we could grow as people. It really began to change my mind on like the twins and Michael Bay soon as I went more on Discord and joined a friend group that I ended up being with. Also, speaking of J-Man, I actually give J-Man some credit. He also did a Skids video, and he didn't do terrible. I thought he did great on that video. Like, with his Optimus video, he didn't present enough facts. He said that Optimus was this and that, and this is without any explanation. But I think he did a good job with this one, and I give him a lot of credit. And a lot of people that I researched, even Theorymus, really good job doing this stuff with Skids and Mudflap. Even though I still think they could have all went farther with it. But what you gotta do. Anyway, let's move on to our next point. As we know, unfortunately Skids and Mudflap did not appear in Dark of the Moon. But what could have been if they were in Dark of the Moon, like the original version? The original version of Dark of the Moon, the twins were supposed to have a much bigger role, which can be found in the novelization of Dark of the Moon and the comic book adaptation of the film. In the novel adaptation, in the scene where Ironhide gets shot by Sentinel, Sentinel tries shooting at Bumblebee, but Skids gets in the way and blocks from dying, and he tries to turn on his twin to face him because he is like laying on the front side of his body, and he said, "Sorry, I guess I wasn't smart enough." Mudflap would sacrifice himself and tell the other Autobots to escape while they have the chance, and he would fight Sentinel as long as he can, until Sentinel had the opportunity to shoot Mudflap in the mouth, and then Mudflap would keep fighting until Sentinel managed to get him on his back, where he would die. And Sentinel would say that some people would count it as cowardice, but Sentinel would consider it as bravery as long as the people that he saved followed his word and embraced his sacrifice. Then there's also the comic book adaptation of this scene, but unfortunately it's pathetic. Because what happens, it's basically the same thing as the novel, but instead Skids and Mudflap die faster than their novel adaptation. Sentinel shoots Ironhide like the film twice, and Skid starts running towards B. About the same time Sentinel would have shot B, and then Skid dies. But then Mudflap immediately goes after Sentinel, but then Sentinel shoots Mudflap immediately, and it's just pathetic. I will say, I agree with Theorymus. The novel adaptation is way better, and I'm kind of mad that they cut this from the movie, because I wish we got this, because it would have improved their characters, might have changed people's minds on the two characters as well. And we didn't get this epic scene because people cried racism, like they always do. They act in a way that could be offensive. Oh, that's a racial stereotype, you're racist. Someone has gold teeth. Oh, that's racist too. You can't allow that. An amphibian creature sounds Jamaican. Oh, that's racist. You're canceled. Like, this stuff is complete nonsense. I hate when people call the racism card or racial stereotypes. Because if they talk a certain way or act a certain way, they're just automatically racist, and we need to condemn these characters. Even though there are people who act like this. I'm not saying everyone acts like this, but there are people who do act like this. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I would get it if Hollywood was saying, like, every person like that is like this. But they're not. There are plenty of examples of characters that are African American that don't do the typical shtick. There's Blade, there's Nick Fury, there's Sam Wilson before he became garbage Captain Falcon. There are so many characters that don't follow these. Do you know why these characters don't follow it? Because every character is going to act differently, just like people act differently from other people. It's not a stereotype. Characters act different from other characters, and it shouldn't be just taken as racism if they act in a certain way. Now, are there things that could be considered racist? Yeah, of course. But granted, it's not the thing that people complain about. Like, again, I hate the term racial stereotype, but there are types that people like Disney have been pushing because, oh, they want to appeal to this group. Like how there's like hip hop or rap in every single African American led movie instead of doing something different. And people don't call that out, going like, oh, that's a racial stereotype, we should cancel Disney. We don't hear that. Or at least from the people who complain about racial stereotypes aiming at Jar Jar and Skids and Mudflap. It got to the point where Michael Bay put a $25,000 bounty on Skids and Mudflap. Like, this is ridiculous, guys. Come on. I will admit, it was funny in Michael Bay's case because he got to troll these people because they were so absurd and obnoxious. They were like, oh my gosh, the twins could return. And Michael Bay basically just trolled them saying, hey, we'll give you this amount of money if you can find Skids and Mudflap. It's hilarious. But when you think about why the bounty was put down in the first place, it's insane that even happened. Funny, but insane. Fandoms were like really crazy back in the day. I mean, it sort of still is. People could say, oh, what about the people who hated like Rey Skywalker, or I should say Rey Palpatine, or Holdo, or Rose, or any of those Disney characters? That was insane. Well, no, because those characters are awful. But this is insane because people were just upset that they were written a certain way that they perceived was racist, but it's not actually racist if you think about it. But people went with it anyway, and yeah, it just ruined the twins' reputation. Again, we haven't seen them in anything since 2009. And the crows from Dumbo. It's all a sham, and mostly the people who complain about it are white people. I'm not going to lie. Most of the people that I've heard, Skids and Mudflap are racist, are mostly white people. White people who complain that there's not enough diverse characters nowadays. There needs to be more strong women. All of that nonsense. They're the ones who complained about it from the beginning before everything went insane. Because you never really hear that Skids and Mudflap is racist from anybody who's African American. No one. Like, as I mentioned earlier, the actor of Mudflap was not offended by the stereotype of Mudflap whatsoever. And it just makes me so mad that these people have taken over everything and claimed anything offensive and ruined pop culture. But the video is not done yet. We are almost done. We just have 2 more points. Let's get into the next appearance of Skids and Mudflap we were supposed to get. There is some lost Transformers media that Skids and Mudflap were supposed to appear in. So, I think a lot of people know this, but I'm going to introduce it for those who probably wouldn't know it for some reason. But originally, Skids and Mudflap, in a way, were supposed to appear in, or at least the early version of the film, where the Decepticons would be disbanded and also be called the Lords of Deception. And Skids and Mudflap's heads would appear in their hideout. Now, here's the clip that described how it would have worked.
All the 5 Dinobots, and they all had like a special power. Like, it's hard for me to think back that far, but the Stegosaurus would turn into like a wheel. And we created this art of him like coming down the city in like a wheel and just tearing everything up. His spikes would like come out, and they were just like razor sharp. And so what we had originally, story-wise, it was a few years after the Battle of Chicago, and the Decepticons were disbanded, and there was only a few Decepticons left, and they were called the Lords of Deception. And they lived out in the desert, and they were led by Lockdown, who was very much a Mad Max type car. That's always how we had created him in our internal art. And they lived in a cavern with like oil drums, and they had the heads of the twins on chains. And every time they walked out of the cave, they would just tap the heads and transform and roll out.
So yeah, that's an interesting thought. Originally when I heard this concept, I thought it was funny because the whole thing was to trash on Skids and Mudflap. It was the era, that's what you had to do, because it was cool back then. I mean, it's not cool anymore, in my opinion. When I hear a joke about, oh, Skids and Mudflap sucks, it's just like eye roll. Like, stupid. And it sucks because this joke was only created for people who hated Skids and Mudflap. What about the people who liked Skids and Mudflap? Just are dead. Like we don't get to know what happened to them. They're just dead. Man, what a disappointment. And now we get to our final factor. Skids and Mudflap haven't seen the light of day ever since their appearance in Revenge of the Fallen. Both the film and the toys of sorts, except their last appearance in the toys was for Dark of the Moon. People have asked multiple times on Twitter if they would be getting a studio series Skids and Mudflap for Revenge of the Fallen. Of course, at the time, the lead toy designers would block anyone on Twitter who asked the question. Now, this has changed a bit over the years because one of the toy designers in one of the most recent live streams from Hasbro Pulse for toy reveals events said that they plan to do Skids and Mudflap eventually. But honestly, guys, I think the sun's gonna blow up before we get a new Skids and Mudflap figure. They'll probably even make them the last Studio Series figures. They're going to push everything out that they can before they make a Skids and Mudflap Studio Series figures. That is the sad truth. So, how do you feel about Skids and Mudflap? Tell me in the comments, and have a nice day, everyone.